Gut Punched, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers. Navigating the insidious illness of Alzheimer's is something nobody asks for. The disease sneaks up on you and your loved one, and it feels like you've been sucker punched in the gut. Then you ask, where do we turn for help? Who do we call? What do we do? These questions and more are what we hope to answer and give you some direction and hope. Now let's join our host, Jeff Edwards.
Greetings and welcome. How you doing? Great, I hope. Glad to have you along with us. It's been a very interesting week for me. It's crazy busy and had an attempted scam to steal my money episode. It was very, very slick. Unfortunately, there are a lot of evil people out there. But I was fortunate. I was able to block them. This whole adventure, if you want to call it that, reminded me of a good lesson. If you are a caregiver for a loved one, and they are still in the early stages, you might not want to let them use the computer without supervision. They may think they can navigate it safely, but maybe not. It could be very costly in a number of ways, so just be careful. Okay, what are the two rules we follow here at Gut Punch, Alzheimer's, and Caregivers? 1, you have to take care of yourself, because if something happens to you, who is going to take care of your loved one? And 2, you can't do it alone. You need help. Find a good caregivers group, network with friends or relatives, but don't try it alone. In this episode, we'll be looking at changes in personality and behavior, part 2. And that's how to cope with agitation and aggression, wandering, rummaging, and hiding things. Plus, in the news, we'll hear about researchers attempting to cure Alzheimer's by repurposing an existing drug. And from the entertainment world, we'll hear about Jay Leno and his wife Mavis. Let's get started. And now, in the news. Researchers attempting to cure Alzheimer's by repurposing existing drug. And this article came from the NBC2 website. Alzheimer's is a cruel and devastating disease. Nearly 500,000 new cases are diagnosed every year in the U.S. Countless research hours are going into studying Alzheimer's patients with the end goal of finding a cure. And right now, it's estimated nearly 7 million Americans 65 years of age and older are living with Alzheimer's. Every 67 seconds, someone in the U.S. is diagnosed with the disease. But there could be a small speck of light for people suffering from the disease, and it may be something that's already on the market. 83-year-old Lee Bellinger was diagnosed with Alzheimer's a little more than 3 years ago. I just had an incident with my Instapot, and I couldn't remember how to start it, and I knew that wasn't proper. Alzheimer's rears its head late. If you have these two proteins in your body and you don't know it, and you're functioning just fine, you can work and drive a car and so forth. So the sooner you find out about it, the better you are, said Bellinger. She's now participating in a clinical trial, doing anything and everything to learn more about the disease and to slow its progress. For the past 3 years, researchers at the Cleveland Clinic have been studying repurposing a well-known drug used for erectile dysfunction and high blood pressure. This is a biopsy of an insurance claim and other records in patients' medical history. Really, the claims that are made to the insurance providers and others that have allowed them to draw some conclusions about potential relationship, said Dr. Ian Gazenhauser, Chief Medical Officer, Lee Health. Doctors warn about the early research results, saying more work needs to be done. So, there are some big cautions with studies like this because they're not observing people. These aren't clinical studies where they're looking at placebo randomized control, looking at patients measuring symptoms. It's a big pause and a big maybe, said Dr. Gazenhauser. Bellinger understands more studies are needed, but she would be willing to participate if asked. If that's the only study that's complete, then we really don't have a lot of information. I would go into one if I hadn't been in the one I'm in. Yes, very likely, she says. The things that are in the medicine are just dilators of your blood vessels, so I don't see why you couldn't use that with women as well. It could be even better. You never know, said Bellinger. Doctors say repurposing a drug that's already on the market is a lot more affordable than creating a new one. It's always a breakthrough that it's safe and effective for something else as well, said Dr. Gazenhauser. For Lee, she says, a matter of getting the results and continuing to push forward to one day having a cure or something that can drastically slow down the disease. Certainly, there will be a cure for it. There's no doubt. Not necessarily in my lifetime, but we will find a cure for it. If we could slow it down the way we slow down other diseases, that gives you quality of life, and that's what we all want. It's not how long you live, it's how well you live, said Bellinger. If you feel like you're forgetting things more often or seem dazed and disoriented, tell your healthcare provider and go get checked out. You can contact the Neuropsychiatric Research Center in Fort Myers for more information or get involved in a clinical trial. Remember, the sooner you can get diagnosed, the sooner you can take action. And that's it for In the News.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Repeat after me. Apple, table, penny.
Apple, red.
When you tell people he has Alzheimer's, but he's in a clinical study, it's
not so hopeless.
Yeah.
Maybe, it's like I hope we can just hang in there and maybe they'll find something.
Ask me again.
What season is it?
It's when all the leaves down and
I know it's there, but I can't get it.
Yeah.
And it just kills me.
I remember watching Dad interact with the kids and thinking, geez, in 5, 6 years, will he even know who they are? 1 in 10 Americans over 65 has Alzheimer's disease. Learn more today at brightfocus.org.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Well, way back in episode 10, we had been talking about challenge changes in personality and behavior. And there was a lot of information. Some I didn't get a chance to talk about. So we're going to follow up with that right now. How to cope with agitation and aggression. Agitation means that a person is restless and worried. He or she doesn't seem to be able to settle down. Agitated people may pace a lot, not be able to sleep or act aggressively towards others. They may verbally lash out or try to hit or hurt someone. When this happens, try to find the cause. There is usually a reason. For example, the person may have pain, depression, or stress, too little rest or sleep, constipation, soiled underwear or diaper. They may be feeling lonely and not having enough contact with other people. Or maybe it's an interaction of medicines. Now, here are some suggestions to help you cope with agitation and aggression. Look for the early signs of agitation or aggression, and then you can deal with the cause before the problem behavior starts. Doing nothing can make things worse. Try to find the causes of the behavior. If you deal with the causes, the behavior may stop. Slow down. And try to relax if you think your own worries may be affecting the person with AD. Try to find a way to take a break from caregiving. Allow the person to keep as much control in his or her life as possible. And try to distract the person with a favorite snack, object, or activity. Now, you can also reassure him or her. Speak calmly. Listen to the person's concerns and frustrations. Try to show that you understand if the person is angry or fearful. Keep well-loved objects and photographs around the house. This can make the person feel more secure. Reduce noise, clutter, or the number of people in the room. Try gentle touching, soothing music, reading, or walks. Build quiet times into the day along with activities. Limit the amount of caffeine, sugar, and junk food the person drinks or eats. Here are the things doctors can do. Give the person a medical exam to find any problems that may cause the behavior. These problems might include pain, depression, or the effects of certain medicines. Check the person's vision and hearing each year. Now, here are some important things to do when the person is aggressive. Protect yourself and your family members from aggressive behavior. If you have to, stay at a safe distance from the person until the behavior stops. As much as possible, protect the person from hurting himself or herself, and ask the doctor or AD specialist if medicine may be needed to prevent or reduce agitation or aggression. Keep to a routine. Coping with changes is hard for someone with AD, such as bathing, dressing, and eating. at the same time each day. Now here's one. How to cope with wandering. Many people with AD wander away from their home or caregiver. As a caregiver, you need to know how to limit wandering and prevent the person from becoming lost. This will help keep the person safe and give you greater peace of mind. Try following these tips before the person with AD wanders. Try to follow these tips before the person with AD wanders. And these are very, very important. Make sure the person carries some kind of ID or wears a medical bracelet. Now, if the person gets lost, an ID will let others know about his or her illness. It also shows where the person lives. Consider enrolling the person in MedicAlert, Alzheimer's Association Safe Return Program. And you can check it out at www.medicalert.org/safe return or call 1-888-572-8566 to find the program in your area. This service is not affiliated with the National Institute of Technology. There may be a charge for this service. Let neighbors and local police know that the person with AD tends to wander. Keep a recent photograph or video recording of the person to help police if the person becomes lost. Keep doors locked. Consider a keyed deadbolt or add another lock placed up high or down low on the door. If the person can open a lock, you may need to get a new latch or lock. Install an announcing system that chimes when a door is open. Now, how to cope with rummaging and hiding things. This one is really difficult one to understand. Someone with AD may start rummaging or searching through cabinets, drawers, closets, the refrigerator, and other places where things are stored. He or she may also hide items around the house. Now, this behavior can be annoying or even dangerous for the caregiver or family members. If you get angry, try to remember that this behavior is part of the disease. In some cases, there might be a logical reason for this behavior. For instance, the person may be looking for something specific, although he or she may not be able to tell you what it is. He or she may be hungry or bored. Try to understand what is causing the behavior so you can fit your response to the cause. Now, here are some steps to take. Lock up dangerous or toxic products or place them out of the person's sight and reach. Remove spoiled food from the refrigerator and cabinets. Someone with AD may look for snacks but lack the judgment or sense of taste to stay away from spoiled foods. Remove valuable items that could be misplaced or hidden by the person, like important papers, checkbooks, charge cards, jewelry, cell phones, and keys. People with AD often hide, lose, or throw away mail. If this is a serious problem, consider getting a post office box. If you have a yard with a fence and a locked gate, place your mailbox outside the gate. Keep the person with AD from going into unused rooms. This limits his or her rummaging through and hiding things. Search the house to learn where the person often hides things. Once you find these places, check them often out of sight of the person. Keep all trash cans covered or out of sight. People with AD may not remember the purpose of the container and may rummage through it. Check trash containers before you empty them, in case something has been hidden there or thrown away by accident. You can also create a special place where the person with AD can rummage freely and sort things. This could be a chest of drawers, a bag of objects, or a basket of clothing to fold and unfold. Give him or her a personal box, chest, or cupboard to store special objects. You may have to remind the person where to find his or her personal storage place. And that'll do it for step 2. And moving forward, we'll be talking intimacy and sexuality.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Jay Leno was granted conservatorship of his wife of more than 4 decades, Mavis Leno, after she was diagnosed with dementia. During a hearing at Los Angeles County Superior Court not too long ago, back in April, Mavis's lawyer said she was in agreement with the conservatorship and noted that she is receiving excellent care with her husband, Mr. Leno. She might call him Jay. The judge agreed, saying, "I think she's in the least restrictive environment. I think she's in very good care with Mr. Leno." The judge then looked at Leno, 73, and said, "Everything you're doing is right," before acknowledging, "I totally understand this is a difficult period." She noted that Mavis, 77, does consent to the conservatorship and confirmed Jay is fit to serve as a conservator. Leno also shared he is in the process of estate planning and looking at his wife's will. All assets are common property, so they will not be an issue under the conservatorship. The update comes after the former Tonight Show host has brought Mavis to his stand-up show at the Hollywood Improv Comedy in WeHo. In January, Jay filed for conservatorship for his wife as he revealed that she had been diagnosed with advanced dementia, according to the documents. His motive behind the petition was to set up a living trust for Mavis to ensure that she had managed assets to provide her with future care if he passed. Their relationship was described as long-term, loving, and supportive, as Mavis sees Jay as her protector and she trusts him.
We'll be right back to Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Are you the caregiver for someone living with dementia? You're not alone.
I was a caregiver for my wife for 10 years, and it was a lot of work.
I'm a caretaker for my wife who has Alzheimer's.
I'm a caregiver of my husband that has CTE, and it's incredibly challenging.
The Dubin Center in Fort Myers has been offering free educational classes and support since 1995.
The Dubin Center has helped me exponentially with so many questions answered. It's just been great.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and I remember we were all in the hospital room, and for like 10 seconds she recognized who we were, and then it was gone. So it's like a thief. It's taking away memories and who you are as a person. Over 5.5 million Americans have Alzheimer's. That number may double by 2050. For more information, visit rightfocus.org.
This is Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers.
Well, let's call it a wrap. Lots of good information this week, and hope you were able to pick up a couple of helpful tips. You know, we've been getting some good interviews recorded, and we'll be bringing them to you in future episodes. We got some really nice people. We hope that if you know somebody who has a family member or friends who are dealing with a loved one who has Alzheimer's or any type of dementia, that you would let them know about this podcast. In the last episode, I mentioned that you might want to check out Alive Inside, How the Magic of Music Proves Therapeutic for Patients with Alzheimer's and Dementia. Now, you can find it on YouTube. It's the story of a 90-something Alzheimer's patient, Henry Dyer, who loved the music of Cab Calloway. And I hope you had a chance to catch that. To find your local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, you can visit alz.org/local resources. Find your local chapter. Or use the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116, or use the Elder Care Locator online tool. The Dementia Society of America is dementiasociety.org. If you have any questions or thoughts about Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, or if there is a specific topic you would like to know more about, reach out to us. The website is gutpunch.com, and the email address is gutpunchedac@outlook.com. A special shout out to Rick Peterson, Aura Santaner, Gentry Thomas, Dan Moser, the Dubin Center, and my wife for the tremendous help and support in making this podcast possible. Thanks for joining us. And please come back again for more. God bless.
This has been Gut Punched, Alzheimer's and Caregivers, with your host, Jeff Edwards. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to us on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple, Pandora, and more. If you have a question or want to get in touch, our email is gutpunchedac@outlook.com.